is Senate Bill 585, which is an act to protect women's health issues as are currently protected under the ACA. We're trying to codify that into state law so that regardless of what happens in Washington, women can continue to enjoy coverage for contraceptives, women's health visits, various preventative screenings. That bill is before the Insurance Committee. We're hopeful it's going to come up for a vote on Thursday. It's Senate Bill 585, and I'm hopeful it might even be bipartisan. There are some Republicans who have come forward supporting it too, but it may not be bipartisan in the committee. So any activism that folks have around that would certainly be helpful. Another bill that I think is incredibly timely is in front of the Government Administration and Elections Committee. It's a bill that myself and Representative Greg Haddad, who's the state representative here in Mansfield, introduced. And it's an act concerning the disclosure of presidential candidates' federal tax returns. So we have put in a bill to say you cannot have access to the ballot in the state of Connecticut unless you have disclosed to you. To that in the GAE committee. So I would encourage all of you, it's House Bill 6575. So first one was 585, second one is 6575. I would encourage all of you to email your legislators about that over the weekend. I'm doing the best I can, and so is Greg Haddad, to try to move this forward, but it's an uphill battle. So
do you know when that's going to be voted on?
Well, there's still a decision. The committee has to decide, not to get into the nuances of the legislative process, but they are still, they had a public hearing on it, and I testified at the public hearing in support of it. Greg serves on that committee. They are still deciding whether or not to move forward with the bill. So when we
calls going to be better? Or
calls, emails, whatever. Yeah.
Which committee is that in front of?
It's GAE, Government Administration and Elections.
And is there still time to submit written testimony?
Yeah, you could still submit written testimony. I mean, the public
Okay.
hearing was probably 10 days ago, but there's still time
Because
to submit
before they
written
consider.
testimony on that. There was another bill that I introduced in the Veterans Committee. I serve as chair of the Veterans Committee. We have cognizance over the Connecticut National Guard. And in the original version of Senate Bill 917, there was a provision in there. You're videotaping me, right? That's cool. Just checking. Okay. There was originally a provision in there to protect our Connecticut National Guard against any executive orders that the president may put in place with regards to immigration laws. I don't know if folks saw a couple weeks ago, there was a memo that was leaked saying that the president was considering using the National Guard to enforce immigration executive orders. We had a bill, 917, in the Veterans Affairs Committee. That faced stiff partisan opposition. It got taken out of the bill, but I would encourage you to write to your legislators and ask them to have that part of the bill put back in. And then, of course, the last is the National Popular Vote Compact. There are several bills before the legislature right now. There's a House bill and a Senate bill that I believe are still alive to make it so Connecticut would enter into the National Popular Vote Compact, which would be an agreement among the states in the compact that whatever the outcome of the national popular vote is, that's how that state's electoral college votes would be distributed. And I'm trying to find the bill numbers right now, I apologize. But I believe one is Senate Bill 9, and I'm looking for it. But does anybody have any questions about that?
I just want to sort of fast forward to the crumbling foundations bills that are before.
Oh, sure. Let me just tell you the bills. It's 5434 is the national popular vote, and I think it's Senate Bill 9. I can't find it, but I think it's Senate Bill 9. So any other questions about national popular vote? Okay, so that's my agenda for this group in terms of those issues and ways that we're trying actively in Hartford to be as progressive a state as we can and try to fight back on some of this stuff. And now I'm happy to answer any questions about
the crumbling foundations bill. I think there are, if in the neighborhood, I know there's at least 3 in the Senate, and I'm not sure how many in the House.
Yes.
Is it two in the House? Can you give us somewhat of an update on what's happening there?
Yes.
I watch CTN all the time, and I watched a good deal of the testimony, and unfortunately, I know many, many people personally who are affected by this.
Yeah.
And I was encouraged by the comments that were made by the members of the joint committee. And, you know, when it is close to home, and it is very close to home in this area, you want to do something more.
Yeah.
And we're assuming that the Senate and the House of Representatives and the governor, I might add, do something to help the people who are literally suffering, who are facing a double mortgage possibly, a $500,000 mortgage to save their quote-unquote dream house. I'm not sure everything that can be done has been done.
I agree.
The governor has not, when questioned time after time after time, has not done anything to help. And the only alternative is the General Assembly. And the offer for, you know, well, you can go through your insurance companies, that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
So there, you're right, there are a number of proposals in the legislature right now. There were actually dozens of bills that were proposed to deal with the crumbling foundations issue, and the bills have been consolidated into a couple of proposals like you described. And they had a big public hearing the other day that was with 4 different committees in the legislature. And the legislature, in a bipartisan way, this is different than the other things we were talking about, is taking this issue very seriously. And you've seen a lot of leadership across the aisle, but especially from this region, trying to make sure we're coming up with a comprehensive solution. One of the things that I'm pushing for, that actually was suggested to me by, again, our great congressman, is there's something. I believe that there's more that the insurance commissioner could be doing to push this issue, and so that's one of the things I'm fighting to keep in the bill proposals, to try to get the insurance commissioner to try to hold insurance companies accountable. There's some questionable things, and I don't want to get too into the weeds on this issue, but there's some questions.
The insurance commissioner is from the insurance company.
Right, and there were some questionable decisions that were made more than a decade ago, and I think we need to have some answers on that. But I do think we're going to come up with as best a solution as the legislature can, because again, there's broad support to do something and to address.
And I'm not, you know, I truly am not criticizing what I have seen. However, you know, I am upset with the governor. I will tell you that, and there's a lot of people who are upset with the governor in regard to his. I don't want to get into the whole, but why can't, you know, you have to go to FEMA, and it has to be a certain number of people evidently affected before FEMA will, you know, even give you a response.
Yeah, and I don't know if you asked Congressman Courtney about this or not, but I don't know if the FEMA route is a legitimate one. I don't think it is, frankly. I think
you don't think it is?
I don't. I don't think that's where we're gonna find the solution. I think we need to look through.
In the state.
Yeah, more in the state, and realize what a big problem this is, whether your house has a crumbling foundation or it's your neighbor's. It's gonna affect you too, and it's gonna decimate a lot of communities in this area in particular, so.
Terrible.